Let me beg you a question. A question that has been perplexing me for quite some time now. A question that has me pretty crossed up. A question that no one has the courage to ask. Until now. This is my iconic Goblins Dilemma. Let's say one day you are sitting peacefully in your room, doing whatever it is that you do, when all of a sudden a goblin bursts through your window and screams, "I'm Gimbal Goblin, and I'm a goblin," and proceeds to uncurl her 10-inch long goblin finger and points it square at you. And says, "And I need you to stop 9/11. Snaps her goblin fingers, and you are instantly transported back to feudal Japan. We now find ourselves in a bit of a pickle, because we now have to find a way to stop 9/11 from feudal Japan. Do I want to stop 9/11? No. That sounds like a really hard thing to do. And I don't want to do that. But this is a quest, a goblin's quest, that was bestowed upon me by Gimbal, and I don't want to let Gimbal down. I love Gimbal, and I would be lying if I didn't admit that I have a crush on her. The first thing that we need to address here is, where in the goddamn is Gimbal? Because that damn goblin is nowhere to be found. All she told me was that I need to stop 9/11. Or else she was gonna tell all of my friends that I got a 175 on the LSAT. And they're gonna think I'm some sort of law nerd. And I really don't want that to happen, but she didn't make the journey through time with me. She left me all alone, when I needed her most. The only thing I know for certain is that I need to stop 9/11, and I'm fucking scared. Second thing we need to figure out is, which 9/11 do I stop? Do I stop the 2001 terrorist attacks? Or the 1973 Chilean coup? I have no idea. She didn't tell me squat. This is important information to know, because this is going to inform my entire strategy. You don't stop the 1973 Chilean coup with the intention of stopping the September 11th terrorist attacks. This is why I need Gimbal. Because she completely effed me here. She left me up Schitt's Creek without a paddle, because in her hubris, she failed to inform me which 9/11 I needed to stop. But using the power of common sense, I can assume that that wicked goblin wants me to stop the 2001 terrorist attacks on the World Trade Centers. Because when I think of 9/11, I think of the time that Osama bin Laden circumcised New York. So no doubt in my mind that this is the 9/11 that I need to stop. Thirdly, how would I know if I'm successful in stopping 9/11? Now, I may not be an expert on goblin magic, but I can only assume that if I'm successful in stopping this horrific tragedy, I'll get transported back to modern era, to the time I was meant to exist. It just makes sense that goblin magic would work like this. But enough logistics. Let's talk strategy. How am I going to stop 9/11 from feudal Japan? Now, it really pains me to say this, but We need to kill the Wright brothers. If the Wright brothers never existed, then planes would have never been invented. And if planes were never invented, then 9/11 could have never been invented. Right? But how on God's green earth do we kill those damn brothers when Ohio is hundreds of miles and years away? First thought that comes to mind is dig a giant pit and just start kicking. And I just feel that eventually I'll kick the Wright brothers' great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother down that pit, and I would have successfully Back to the Future them. This plan seems all well and good, but alas, it has one fatal flaw. I gotta dig a giant pit, and I just don't feel like doing that right now. And that brings me to my next strategy. Bush did 9/11.
Now watch this drive.
This plan involves me informing some Japanese peasant girl that 43rd President of the United States, George W. Bush, did in fact do 9/11. And through the power of gossip, I win. And gossip dictates that she'll tell her friends, and they'll tell their friends, and they'll tell their friends, and just on and on and on like that. And by the 2000 election, people will be so wary of George W. Bush that Al Gore would win in a landslide. And through the ephemeral power of Al Gore, 9/11 will cease to exist. But sadly, this plan also has a fatal flaw, because it involves me talking shit behind someone's ass. And that's just not who I am as a person. I'm gonna have to find a way to stop 9/11 without digging a big-ass pit, nor jumping aboard the toxic gossip train. And that's when it hit me. I don't need to do a damn thing. The mere fact that I am in feudal Japan with the task of stopping 9/11 bestowed upon me by the iconic Gimbal Goblin is all that is needed to stop this horrific tragedy. And poof, just like that, 9/11 is done. I am transported back to present day and do a bit of Googling on my phone and find that the 1973 Chilean coup never occurred. And me and Gimbal share a passionate kiss as we ride off into the sunset, arm in arm, with my goblin wife in my hand. And the peace of mind knowing that Augusta Pinochet never overthrew the popular unity government in Chile, led by democratic socialist Salvador Allende. And